I'm going to be sharing with you my zero sales call method. As you come in, say hello, say hi, let me know that you are here. Anyone see my IG story that I just put up a little bit ago where did you see me smash my TV? It's a wonderful day. It is a wonderful day. So this TV, not right there, right here, that TV right there is no longer operational from the sense of being able to actually see a TV. And it's because of this chair. So I was sitting in it, swung it around, and bam, it hit the TV. The TV fell over, and that was the end of the TV. So, great way to start the day. Let me pull this up just a little bit more. There we go. But regardless, we are going to we're going to keep it moving. It definitely gives me an opportunity to play around with my new camera. So I did just get a new camera that has a flip screen where I'll be able to actually see what I'm doing, what I'm recording, how everything is going. Let me go ahead and put the chat on. Hey, Sandra. Hi, Moabitess Queen Designs. And so I'm working on the upgraded studio. So I ordered a ring light. So what I want to do with my studio is I want to change things around just a little bit. So I've got a couple of soft boxes that I normally use, and I've got this one up here as well that really give me really good lighting, but they are heavy, bulky, and I want a more portable studio, and I want it to be able to, set up, break down when I want, and not have big, huge soft boxes in the way. The other thing is that I use the TV in order to see myself when I'm recording, because this camera, you can see it, this camera right here does not have a flip screen. It's just a basic DSLR camera. So I've actually already sold that camera. It's going to the new owner soon. And I've got my new camera, but I'm waiting for the lens in order to actually start recording with it, with everything that's going on with the virus, and things are just slow to ship. So, woosah. Well, we are going to get going. All right. Who is ready? Enough about me. How are you doing today? How's your Saturday going? We're close to the end of the month. We have made it through the last, month and a half. It's been a month and a half since everything kind of shut down. I know for me, that day that the sign went up on my gym, I was devastated. It was March 17th. I'll never forget the day. And they were like, oh, this is closed until further notice. So I'm not sure how quickly I'm going to, go back to the actual physical gym. I have been, working out here at home. I know that a lot of people are definitely wanting to exercise caution as we kind of move back into getting back to some normalcy. But I, for one, am just ready for the whole thing to be over. This kind of took the entire month of March and most of the entire month of April, most of March, and I'm ready for it to be done. Hey, Dachral. Yeah. So with that said, but we made it, you guys. We did. I feel like we did a relatively good job. So, all right. So let's go ahead and jump into the zero sales call method. Let me do my little intro, because I'm still recording these as podcast episodes. So I'm going to also make sure that my mic is right here and that I use my podcast voice. Funny story before I get into that. I did used to have a podcast with a friend of mine. It was called the Wealth Fast Podcast, and we recorded one day or between like 2 days or something like that, we ended up recording 52 episodes. And so we batch recorded, and we basically put out one episode a week for 52 weeks. And that was my first experience with learning the difference in a podcasting voice versus the voice that you might normally use when you're talking. So your podcasting voice is going to be a little bit smoother. It might be a little bit deeper, and you want to make sure that you're really forming your vowels. And so anyways, so I find that interesting that this is making me think to like consciously put on my podcasting voice. So I do have a little intro, and these will be recorded and repurposed as podcasts. The podcast is not up yet. I want to wait until I get a couple episodes before we kind of put it into the iTunes submission process. All right. So welcome to Design Your Lavish Life with your host, me, LaTisha Styles. Life is meant to be enjoyed, and on this show, you'll discover how to do exactly that. Whether it's discussing how to grow your business, develop your mindset, or become a stronger person, each piece will help you manifest your very own version of a lavish life. So for those of you who are new here, I do broadcast these live on YouTube at youtube.com/LaTisha Styles, and I'm also recording them for the podcast. If you'd like to join me live, you can join me live Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. So the very first piece of business and thing that we need to do is choose the Race to 100K giveaway winner. So if you saw my most recent YouTube video, you might know, but if you don't, I'm going to tell you, I am made a goal, and I've set a goal to reach 100,000 subscribers. I am currently sitting right around 19,200 subscribers. And with the rate that I'm going currently, I'm expected to reach around 30 or 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. But my goal is to increase that so that I can reach 100,000 subscribers. And in order to do that, I have a full plan. If you watch my most recent video, or the video that's called My Plan to Reach 100,000 Subscribers, you'll actually see the plan. But part of that is creating incentives for you guys as well. So if you are watching, you'll actually be able to see me do this. So the way that the contest works is you can text a special keyword to 77948. I'm not going to give you the keyword yet because I'm going to choose a winner for this week. Just in case you're on live and you're like one of the last minute people, you got to wait until the next week. You're going to text the keyword to 77948. And when you do that on this podcast, I'm going to choose a winner to win $100. Isn't that nice? And essentially what I'm doing is I am giving back basically my YouTube ad revenue. So right now I'm currently earning around $230, $250 from YouTube ads every month. And my plan is to grow the channel by taking the revenue that I'm earning from the channel and giving it back to you, giving it back to my subscribers. So in order for you to win, you do have to be subscribed, and you do have to still be in the text message list. Okay. So here's you guys that are here and that are on live. Hey, Tony. Hey, Kelly. Welcome. For those of you that are here and that are on live, you're going to be able to see the winner get chosen right now. And boom. Okay. Let me turn off the chat real quick. All right. So this is my text message software that I use. It's called Text 180, TXT 180. And when you text the keyword, this is not the keyword. I'm going to give you the keyword in a second for those of you who haven't entered yet. When you text the keyword, you go into a specific group. Okay, so this text that's about to go out when I'm about to choose the winner is going to the people who are in this group. And all I'm going to say is, you won. Please email All right, please email success@LaTishaStyles.com with the subject Race to 100K to claim your prize. A $100 cash prize. You must provide the phone number as well. Okay, I got 0 characters left. So you notice that as I'm typing, it's telling me how many characters I've got left. Okay, with the subject, Race to 100K to claim your, and then we're just gonna make this a little bit better. $100 cash prize. You must provide your phone number as well. All right, and we're gonna send this once, and we're sending this right now. So it's 11:11. So I'm just gonna say 11:12. This is a text to win, and I'm gonna choose one winner. So what's gonna happen? And I'll actually schedule this out to go out in about 3 minutes. What's going to happen is it's automatically going to choose a winner. I got to race to 100K. It's automatically going to choose a winner, and that person will receive a text. Alrighty. Isn't that neat? Pretty cool how that works. So you guys that are here, you saw me do it live, and now you know exactly how it works. Now, here's how you can enter to win. If you haven't entered to win already and you'd like to enter to win the $100 cash prize, you must be subscribed to my YouTube channel. And the next thing that you need to do is text creator-win to 77948. Okay, I will choose a winner right here live on this training, and the winner will receive a text. You just reply back and you get your gift. All right. And I want to say thank you to everyone for being subscribed and supporting the channel. All right, so let's jump into the 7 keys to my 0 sales call method. Hi, Nafisa. So how many of you here, instead of how many, because you don't know, you can't count how many people here, but if this is you, let me know. Who here is interested in a method of booking clients, whether it's coaching clients, consulting clients, but booking clients, and even high ticket clients at that, without having to do a sales call? If that's you and that's what you're interested in, say yes, drop me an emoji, let me know, give me some thumbs up. Because when I first started my coaching business, one of the things that I was told was, you're going to have to do sales calls. You're going to have to do discovery calls. And I did that. I did sales calls. I did discovery calls. I did what are called, strategy sessions. I did all of that. And I came to the realization that it just wasn't for me. Okay. If you're outside of the US and you're not able to text, then you want to go back to the video where I talked about how I plan to generate 100,000 subscribers, and you'll be able to enter via Instagram. There's a different giveaway that I'm doing now. Okay. Good. You did the other things. That's perfect. All right. So once I realized that sales calls were, frankly, they were draining for me, I realized that there's got to be another way. There's got to be another method. And so I searched high and low. And usually when you're searching for something, that's typically when the answer will find you. Once you make that decision and sort of put it out there in the universe, like, this is what I want, this is what I'm looking for, this is what I'm interested in, you usually can just, at least this is how it works for me, like, I can just let it go. I say, I want to be able to get, like, I wish I could get clients without them just, without me having to do calls. Like, wouldn't it be cool if they just came to me? And so when I made that statement and I had that thought, that's when things started moving. And I was introduced to a mentor, and she started talking about how she books high ticket clients over Messenger without a phone call. And I was like, no, really? Like, is this, like, this is what I've been looking for. And so I learned from her how she does it in her process. And so obviously when you first learn something, you try it that same way that person is doing it. And then as you go on, you realize that there are some things that you need to change or adjust or tweak based on who you are, how you approach life, based on how your clients interact with you, and the type of wording and things that you guys use. So that's essentially what I did, and I created my zero sales call method. Now, this zero sales call method works if you have really good marketing and you understand why you are the right fit for your ideal client. You've got to understand why your client should work with you, and why that person is specifically right. You need to know your marketing message. You've got to be really clear on that. You need to have your funnel together. Like there's a lot of individual pieces and ingredients that go into making this the tasty cake, right? So we got to make sure that we're getting all the ingredients. And so there's 7 keys or 7 ingredients to the zero sales call method. And what the zero sales call method looks like is someone is interested in what you have to offer. And instead of you saying, hey, click here to book a call with me, you let them know, hey, message me, and then you have the conversation from there. Now, the only time that this, I would not recommend this is if you plan to grow a sales team, and then you won't have to do all the calls, right? Because you've got your sales team. You're happy to book as many calls as you want because you don't have to actually be on the calls. But if you are still in the growing phase, which I am, I'm still in the growing phase. I would be the one doing all of my sales calls myself. And it's just not how I desire to spend my time. So I decided that, I need to put in a strategy to do zero sales call method. And there was a client that I worked with who she doesn't like sales calls either. She didn't want to do sales calls. And she was like, well, maybe I have to do sales calls for this. And I was like, no, you don't have to do sales calls. We just need to make sure that you essentially have these 7 keys. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and give you guys the 7 keys to my zero sales call method. Key number 1, the first thing you need is you've got to start with the right energy. Meaning, if you are doubtful that someone would actually book with you or sign up as a client without getting on the phone with you, like if you don't believe that it's going to work, well, you're absolutely right. It's not going to work. So you do have to believe that it's actually possible. I remember when I first started sending people directly to Messenger versus sending them to a phone call, every now and then I would be like I kept going back and forth. I was like, should I do the call? Like maybe we message each other and then I tell them to come and book a call. And I kept flip-flopping. And then eventually, I remember the very first client that I essentially took all the way through, I was like, you know what? We're not going to get on a call. And I remember during this process, we got towards the end of the quote unquote call or the conversation. And she was like, okay, well, what do I do next? And I was like, I can just give you the link and you can go ahead and sign up. And she was like, oh, okay, we don't have to get on a call. I was like, no, I mean, do you need a call? Like I'm clear on what you need and I know I can help you. And, once you make your payment, we can set up your first kickoff call. And she was like, okay, cool. And then she did it. And I remember thinking like, yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. and that's exactly how it should be. And since then I've booked, the last time I calculated, it was like close to 40,000. I haven't added it up since then. But it's well over that now that I've booked via Messenger without having to get on a phone call or do any sort of phone conversation or even take that time. One client, I happened to be like working out and in between sets, even though my timer was going, in between sets, I'm checking my phone and I happened to get a message and I started chatting with the client. And by the time I had done my workout, she became a new client, a new high ticket client. So it's definitely possible, but you have to, number one, start with that right energy. You have to start with the energy of, this is what I want, this is what I deserve, this is what's possible. And the clients that want to work with me also don't necessarily want to do sales calls. So that energy that you're going to hold, that's going to be the energy that will allow you to attract the things that you want in your life. For those of you who were here right before the intro, you noticed that I was talking about how I busted this TV that's back here. And that's because my energy while I was trying to record videos this morning was not high vibe. It was fairly low. I didn't feel like recording videos, but I was sitting myself down and essentially forcing myself to record. And lo and behold, I happened to knock over the TV. Like, you only attract into your life things that match your vibe. And therefore, because my vibe was not high, I busted my TV. So it's important to understand that your vibe is going to attract the things that you want in your life, okay? And if your vibe is not high, you might attract things that you don't want in your life. So that's the first key, is starting with the right energy. And we do talk about this a lot more inside of Create and Fill Your Coaching program, where I talk about the energy of a fully booked coach. We're not necessarily discussing specifically making sales over Messenger, but I talk about having that energy so that you can create that coaching business that lights you up, that is full of your perfect ideal clients, and where you don't feel like you're desperate and you're coming at clients with that energy. Okay, so it's very important to start with the right energy. Second key to my zero sales call message is understanding your unique selling proposition. So I've talked about this a little bit before, but we need to go into it a little bit more and dig into it deeper with this topic. So unique selling proposition, often truncated as USP, unique selling proposition is what makes you uniquely qualified, uniquely positioned, what makes you unique so that there's no competition. Like, what is your lane? What gives you your own lane? What makes you different from everyone else? And sometimes this is a difficult question to answer, because if you're thinking like, how am I different? The first thing you think of is, how is everyone else? Or like, how is everyone else the same? Or like, what characteristics do they have? And then usually you're like, well, I kind of do that. I kind of do that. So the best way that I like to start with this for understanding your unique sales proposition or unique selling proposition is to just start listing out and writing out unique qualities about you. So before thinking about competition or what they do that you don't, or what they don't that you do, start writing out what are the things that make you unique. And this is something I do with my clients all the time. And I remind them, like, don't just write down business stuff. Write down, you want a spelling bee in 7th grade. Speaking of 7th grade spelling bees, short side story. I remember, everyone remembers the word that took them out of the spelling bee. And I was doing a spelling bee, and I was asked to spell the word subtle. And I remember every time I saw that word, I pronounced it subtle, so that I would remember in my mind how it looks. So I would hear it and I would say it the way it looks. But I never thought, hey, you should actually pronounce it the way it's pronounced, so you'll recognize it when someone asks you. And I remember it was 7th grade, my 7th grade spelling bee. I was asked, spell subtle, and I spelled it S-U-T-T-L-E, and I got knocked out, and I was so upset. And I remember, like, I will never misspell that word again, and I haven't since. But you never forget the word that knocked you out of the spelling bee, and that was the word that knocked me out of the spelling bee. So if that's something that's unique to you, notice how I just shared that story, and someone who maybe had a spelling bee in 7th grade, who's thinking of working with me or working with another coach, now feels more connected to me, because they're like, oh, she also got knocked out of a 7th grade spelling bee because of a word. That's sort of it's just a quick and dirty example, but that's why you can't just limit yourself to writing down business accomplishments or things that are related to your business. Like, write down everything that makes you unique. You're good at listening. You're good at figuring out why people are having problems. You're empathetic. What are the things that make you unique? Then typically the next thing that we do from there is we choose some of the top ones, or the ones that are most related to helping your client get the result that you're helping them to achieve. And we pull those together to create your unique selling proposition. We do this in week 1, I believe. Dr. L, maybe you can remind me if you're still on. We do this in week 1 of the You've Got Clients group coaching program. Okay, and once you understand and have your unique selling proposition, then you won't have to be so stressed that you're competing with the next person who might be doing calls. Okay. Number 3, third key, I need to kind of move through these a little bit more quickly so that we stick to our time frame. Number 3 is to be super clear on your ideal client and their pain point. Super clear on your ideal client and their pain point. Okay, cool, perfect. Yes, she said week 1. Thank you. Super clear on your ideal client and their pain point. Say that 3 times fast. I just did. So what does this mean when you know who your ideal client is better than anyone else? A couple of weeks ago, you guys asked me to do a video on creating your ideal client avatar. It's done. It's in the process of being edited, and it will be published fairly soon. But until then, let me give you an idea of what creating an ideal client avatar looks like. It's different from choosing a target market, a target demographic. It is specifying one unique person, giving that unique person a name, telling that person's story, and explaining why they are uniquely positioned to have the problem that you solve. And that's why you got to be clear on their pain point as well, because you need to know what is the problem that's keeping them up at night. What is the thing that you solve better than anyone else? Because we just talked about your unique selling proposition, but what's that problem that your ideal client has? Now you got to be really clear on that, because what's going to happen is a messenger conversation is a little bit more truncated than a phone conversation. In a phone conversation, you get a little bit more insight. People might say stumble over some words, and so you can kind of draw out like, okay, I noticed that you said this, or that you kind of sighed when you said that. Like, can you tell me a little bit more about that? So you're going to lose a little bit of 3D, right? Your conversations are going to go from 3D to 2D. So if you're not clear on your ideal client and their pain point, meaning you're not going to know what questions to ask, that conversation is going to be flat, and it's not going to result in the end result that you want. Okay? So you got to be really clear on your ideal client. You have to be really clear on their pain point, and you have to know exactly what questions to ask in order to help them get clear on it. Okay? Number 4, you need to have an offer that solves one clear need. Meaning, when you have this conversation via messenger, sometimes I have conversations via messenger where someone might just reach out, and maybe perhaps that person becomes a client because it just happened to be the right time, right conversation. But in general, the conversations that are coming to messenger are coming because I specifically say, this is the offer, message me about this offer if you would like more help, or if you are interested, or if you are, whatever that call to action is. And because they're asking specifically about one individual offer, it's easier to tailor the conversation around that one clear need. Because my ideal client has a couple of different pain points. Typically, their revenue is not consistent, even though they're bringing in clients. They might have issues with their sales process. They don't have a system that they can rely on. They don't have the funnel. So there's a couple of different pain points, which is why I have Create and Fill Your Coaching program for the clients who are just getting started and need help actually creating that program. I've got You've Got Clients for the client who needs that consistent revenue, who is needs to create a system and a funnel. And I've got the Royal Retreat for those who would like to work with me in person. The Automated Sales Incubator for those who want to automate sales of their course. So I have different offerings for the different pain points. And if I were to just say, hey, message me if you want to work with me, well, our conversation is just going to start going in loops, because I'm not going to know really what questions to ask to help them. And even if I do get down to it, they're still not going to know what the offer is. So therefore, their final question is going to be, hey, can you send me more information? And like, that's the last way you want to call to end with, hey, can you send me more information? All right. So you got to have an offer that solves one clear need. And that's how you ask people to come to join you. Okay. Is this making sense? Are you guys still with me? Let me know. If I don't see chats go up, I wonder if you can still hear me. All right. Where are we now? Yes, we're good. Yes, I see 17 people on, but I don't see any chats. Am I still getting chats? Say yes, say hi, say okay. All right, cool. Thank you, Dr. L. Everybody else is passed out sleep. It's kind of like when you like go to church and somebody they fall asleep and you like throw a shoe at them. Okay, you don't do that at church. All right. Hey, Latoya. Hi, Dre. Welcome. Okay, perfect. Yes, my name is LaTisha, and I help coaches create and fill their coaching programs. You can learn more at LaTishaStyles.com. All right, so let's move into number 5. We're talking about the 7 keys to my zero sales call method. Number 1 was start with the right energy. Number 2 was understand your unique selling proposition. Number 3 was be super clear on your ideal client and their pain point. Number 4, have an offer that solves one clear need. And number 5 is get your funnel together. So in order to create a process where you do not have to do sales calls, you will need to have an actual system, an actual funnel. The truth is that many will not purchase on the first glance. Many won't even reach out to you the first time they see your offer. So when you first start your coaching business, you might do the same thing that I did, which is just brute force. And you will create a sign-up page. And this is actually, so going back to create and fill your coaching program, kind of like the bare minimum when you come out of that program is that you have a call booking scheduler, you've got your website that explains who you are and what you do, and you're essentially, you know how to have that phone conversation. So that's it. That's really all you need in order to start your coaching program. You need to know, obviously you need your unique selling proposition, branding, and all that, and you get that in the program. But from like a open the doors and start accepting client standpoint, you really only need a call booking software, which doubles as your way to accept money, and you need a website so people know who you are and what you do, and that's pretty much it. So when you have those things, you might start brute force, which is letting people know, hey, this is what I have. Click here to get it. Sign up for your coaching call. I'm doing mini coaching sessions, or I'm looking for, such and such number of people who would like this, that, and the other. And that's essentially that's the process. Like after you finish create and fill your coaching program, like you're all set up to go do that brute force process. And that's absolutely fine. Like that's how you get your experience. That's how you, you got to pound the pavement. You got to get your hands dirty. You need to know what it's like to, get clear on who you want to go after, because if you are just getting started and you try to set up the system first, but you don't know who you're going after, well, the system is going to bring you people, but it's not going to bring you the right people because you're not really clear on who that person is. And you don't really even get very clear on that without actually working with clients and going through that process. So after that program, yes, you start with, okay, this is in general who my ideal client is. This is who I'm going after. This is why they should work with me. And then you start working with clients, and then you realize, all right, well, I kind of want to work with people who are a little bit more like this, or I really want to work in this area a little bit more. And you start making those adjustments. And once you're very, very clear on that, and you've gotten your at minimum 3 testimonials, then you can move into creating the system, which is what we do when you've got clients. So when I say get your funnel together, I'm speaking to you only if you've already worked with several clients, you have several testimonials, and you know exactly who you want to work with and how you can help them. Not if you're still kind of trying to figure it out or still in the early phases of your business, which is absolutely fine. When I first started my coaching business, I was working with business owners in general. So the very first clients, I had someone who had an e-commerce store, someone who was trying to get government contracts, and someone who had an MLM. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I know I want to work with service-based entrepreneurs. I don't want to do any more e-commerce or physical products. So then I started working with service-based entrepreneurs. And then as I continue with that, I started realizing that the clients who were getting the best results with me were those who were essentially starting from almost zero, but they were very ambitious. And they were, in general, they were coaches or doing some sort of consulting. And they were the ones that were getting like 5-figure launches and, booking, the results are on my website. And it started to become a little bit insane to me because I wasn't charging very much at that time. And I remember I started seeing the results that my clients were getting, and I was like, wow, like maybe I should be charging a percentage. Like, what am I, what am I doing? And I got to that point where I just still wasn't there where I knew like who I wanted to work with and how I wanted to help them. And once I saw that, and I was like, oh, these clients that are getting the results, they're getting the results because I'm helping them put a system in place, and I'm helping them create their first webinar, and I'm helping them do this, that, and the other, create their email sequence and all that. Once I realized that, that's when I created the You've Got Clients program, and the rest is history. That's been one of my signature programs, and I teach how to do it inside of the program. But the key here is that you do have to have a funnel in place, because a lot of the people who are watching you, like, they're not going to purchase on the first glance. And the other thing that I didn't know before is that you can't just be general about your offer. Like, you need to be specific, and even better if you can write it all out on a sales page. Like, put it on a page, explain exactly what they get, explain the outcome and how they sign up. And it's as simple as, instead of putting a price on the page, you just have a button that says, message me for details, message me to apply. And it's as simple as that. You don't have to make it any more complicated. But if you don't have a specific funnel and a way to follow up, what's going to happen is you will have people reach out, and then you'll get to the end of the conversation and they'll say something like, well, can you send me more information? Like, you want them to have looked at it and have messaged you after they looked at it and saw what the outcome is, and they identified that, yes, that's me. The problem that I ran into and the mistake that I made when I first started coaching was like, I'm just going to make sure they're the right person, and then I'm going to explain the offer to them on the phone. And what I realized and what I learned going through this process was that, like, people need to know what they're getting, and they need to self-identify. It'll make your sales calls, if you're going to do calls, that much easier, because once that person has identified, like, yes, this is what I want, and yes, she's speaking directly to me, well, now they're reaching out from a standpoint of, I want it, versus me just trying to book them on the phone and then me trying to tell them why they should want it, right? So there's a little bit of a difference. There's some people that still do it that way, where they're like, hey, just book a call, book a call, book a call. And they essentially force you to figure out, what you want, and they force you to do something right then and there. But what I realized, what worked for me and what worked best for my clients, who are highly intelligent and, like, they have already made the decision that they want to work with me before they reach out. Like, I don't need to, like, force anybody into anything, because they've already made that decision. But you do need to have a funnel together. Funnel meaning you need to have a way for people to get to know you. You need to have a follow-up process in place, and you need to have valuable content that's coming to them on a regular basis. All right, last two pieces to my 0 sales call method is number 6, you got to ask the right questions. Asking the right questions in 2 places. First is asking the right questions before they choose to reach out to you. And second is asking the right questions during the conversation. So asking the right questions before they decide to reach out to you means being clear on your sales page or inside of your webinar, or both, where inside of the webinar, you're asking the right questions that help them to come to their own conclusion that they want to work with you. This is the right program for them, and right now is the right time to do it. And you know, you're the right person to help them. If you don't ask the right questions so that person can come to their own conclusion, even if they do sign up, they'll resent you because they will feel like it wasn't their decision. So you have to empower them to make their own decision. And that comes from asking the right questions. This is the power and the magic inside of You've Got Clients. And the right questions will allow your client to like give themselves the right answer so that they know exactly what steps to take next. And it's funny because I got on the phone with Terrell, who's one of the clients who went through the You've Got Clients program. And she was like, it was exactly the way you said. Like they were telling me the stuff that I had said on the webinar and saying like, yes, that's exactly me. And if you don't know how to ask the right questions before they reach out to you, then you're gonna have a harder time. Like the selling over Messenger will not be as easy, and it'll be something that will trip you up instead. And the second place you have to ask the right questions is actually in the Messenger conversation. So that means getting into what specifically they need help with, why it's specifically a problem for them, why they want to work with you in particular. Like you got to get clear on those things. And my main goal during the beginning of a Messenger conversation is to disqualify that person. So even though it's not a phone call, like I still don't want to waste time texting back and forth. So my first couple of questions are like, all right, basically prove to me that you're somebody that I need to keep chatting with. The way that I've structured my business, and I was very intentional about this, I've structured my business so that I don't need one-on-one coaching in order to maintain my business and the revenue that I want to create. I have monthly recurring revenue that's coming in whether I book a new one-on-one client or not. So it's allowed me to come at my conversations with a lot different energy. It's the energy of like, it would be great if we work together, but even if we don't, like I'm still good, but do you need help? That's what I really want to know. And so like once you have your funnels and your systems and everything set up, it's a lot easier to have that energy. It's a lot easier to be that way because you're not like hoping that this person signs up. So the very first part of our conversation, I'm like, okay, like, let me see, is this somebody I really want to work with? And that's why like I look forward to every single one of my client calls. My favorite part of the week right now is the You've Got Clients call that we have, the group coaching call. Like I'm on that call cracking up. And it's because I have soulmate clients. Like I have clients who are, we feel like old friends. Like we laugh at like similar things. Like in order to get to that point though, you've got to have all these other things. You got to know who your ideal client is. But you also have to not have that desperate energy. And that comes from asking the right questions, not only before they get on that Messenger conversation with you, but also during, okay? And the final key to my zero sales call method is number 7, which is be hands off, not the pushy retail sales clerk. What does this mean to be hands off and don't be that pushy retail sales clerk? So if you have ever gone into a store to like go shopping and you know that retail sales clerk that's like, hey, how are you today? Can I help you find anything? And you're like, no, I'm good. I'm just browsing. Like you don't know yet. You're shopping. You're having fun. You're shopping. And then they come back over to you and they're like, hey, by the way, we're having a sale on such and such. You're like, okay, cool. And then they like come back over again. They're like, oh, this would look really cute on you. Like, would you like this? And you're like, give me a chance to think. Like I'm looking. Like I'm good. Like chill. And if your Messenger conversations could feel like that if you are too forward. So what I really like about Messenger conversations is the fact that it's asynchronous communication, meaning it's not synced, meaning we're not talking together one-on-one. Like I talk and then it might be a couple minutes and then you talk, right? If if I happen to see that that person's typing, maybe I'll wait a second to see what they say. But in general, like I'm not sitting there waiting with bated breath on like for every word. The whole purpose is so that I can continue living my life, going about my day, working out, going back to my next set if I'm, still working out or whatnot. Like that's my goal. My goal is so the whole point of having a zero sales call method is so that I don't have to spend like a concentrated period of time explaining to someone what they need or like having that conversation. So instead of being the pushy retail sales clerk, the idea behind the zero sales call method is to be a little bit more hands off. So you ask the question, you put the phone down, and then you go do whatever you were about to do. And then once your phone lights up again or whatever it is, like you go back to it, but you're not prioritizing like getting back to the conversation, especially not in the beginning stages. As we get closer to me choosing to work with that person or making an offer, then that's when I'm kind of paying attention and we're going back quickly because that process happens fairly fast. But at the beginning, like we're just like I might be talking to 3 or 4 people at once. Like I'm just sending a text and then I'm going about my day. And the reason that this works well for Messenger in particular is because like you might not know if someone's finished or done saying what they want to say because maybe you can't see if they're typing. Like you don't really know if maybe there's something else they want to elaborate on. And sometimes what'll happen is somebody will text something and then they'll think, okay, I should have said this, and then they'll come back and say something else. So give them space, give them time to really form their thoughts. Okay. The software that I like to use, so a couple different options. Software that I like to use is number one for the funnels. I like using ConvertKit as my email software, and number two for Messenger conversations, I use ManyChat, ManyChat, ManyChat. And what's cool about ManyChat, they did not have this when they first launched, but now they do. They actually have a phone app, and let me see if I can show you guys. It's plugged in right here, so I'll unplug it. Put it in front of my face so you can see. So right now it says no conversations because I'm on top of everything. And then there's a done section that has conversations. Now they have an app that you can put on your phone. I don't know if it's iPhone and Android, but they definitely have an iPhone app. And I get a notification whenever someone sends a message. And I can choose to reply back right away. Same with your regular text messages. You can choose to reply back right away. You can mark it unread so you can save it for later. And in here, it's actually really cool is that you can assign it to a team member if you want to assign those conversations. So essentially, the reason that I have, as I talked about at the start of the hour, the reason that I have the zero sales call method is because I'm the one that's personally talking to each client before they become a one-on-one client, okay? If you are structuring your business and you want to get to the point where you have a sales team, then the zero sales call method is not necessary, right? Because however many people book on your calendar, you can have a sales team to handle those calls. Now, do I still do calls? I do still do calls. So I do calls with buyers only. So if you purchased a course, a program, or anything like that, if you've made a purchase and invested in yourself with me, then I'm willing to do a free mini coaching session. The way that I do that is I do choose a person. I'm like, hey, you won a coaching session and you can, redeem it by, clicking here, go schedule on my calendar. And I also limit the number of sessions that I provide, free mini sessions that I do. What that does for me is it allows me to still have those conversations with students and with people who might become potential one-on-one clients, but it also prevents me from speaking with people who are like, oh, I just want to do a free call. So part of this, going back to step one, part of this is protecting your energy so that you can show up fully for the clients who've chosen to invest with you. I'm not able to show up fully for the clients who chosen to invest with me if I'm drained from doing calls with people who are just, not in the right headspace to receive what I've got to provide. So that is essentially the rundown on the zero sales call method. Do we have questions or comments, concerns? Cash. Put up the photo again so that you know exactly where you are, even though you probably already know. It'll also give you an idea of what the delay looks like. All right, what I would like for you to do is let me know in the chat, based on the conversation we had today, what videos would you like me to create on this topic? Anything that you want me to dig deeper into, anything that you'd like me to cover more in depth. What I really like about these trainings is that I can choose a topic and I can get really wide with what I share. But if there's like one piece that you'd like more help with, then I can create a YouTube video on that, and then I can go a lot deeper with the content and kind of helping you with that. So feel free to comment below. Let me know what content you would like for me to create based on what you learned today. If you would like to sign up with me for a one-on-one, you can message me. So if you're, Shelly, you're already on Facebook, so you can just message the business page and to request one-on-one. What I would recommend that you do first is go to LaTishaStyles.com and then click on the Work With Me page, and that'll give you a better idea of the options that I offer, the courses, the programs, the one-on-one coaching. And that way you'll be able to direct the conversation a little bit better and be a lot more clear on what you need help with. Okay. What type of consultant / coaches do I assist? My bread and butter and the coaches that I work with mostly are financial coaches. So coaches who help their clients in the area of money or mindset. So like sales, personal finance coaching. I work with clients who have done investing coaching, business coaches. So in general, that's my bread and butter. But I also have worked with relationship coaches, fitness coaches, and health and wellness coaches. But in general, I'm typically working with finance coaches. I have a background in finance. I have a degree in finance. My first foray into the online world was a personal finance blog. So that's where a lot of my experience is, and that's where a lot of my network is, and that's typically why those are the type of clients that come to me. Could I repeat the name of the software again? Yes, the software is called ManyChat, ManyChat, ManyChat. All right, cool. And I still got 6 minutes. All right, cool. So I want to thank you guys for joining me. And if you have any other questions, let me know. You can comment on this video. It will still be on YouTube, so just comment below. I do check my comments and reply to comments. And I want to thank you guys for joining me today. And I will see you back again next week, Saturday at 12 p.m. Eastern, where I'll be sharing another topic. I don't know what it is yet, but if you're on the email list, I will let you know ahead of time so you can choose whether or not you'd like to join. It'll be 12 p.m. Eastern, and I'm going to be helping you to brand and market yourself better so that you can earn more and create your very own version of a lavish life. Oh, now we got questions popping up. Okay, cool. Crystal says, for someone new starting off, do I recommend creating social media ads or the footprint method? I don't know what the footprint method is. If you're new and just starting off, I recommend that you join us inside of Create and Fill Your Coaching Program. You can go to LaTishaStyles.com in order to get details and check it out. All right. Bye, guys. Have a wonderful Saturday.